Hi everyone, how are you today? I realised last time I didn't intro myself properly. I'm Zach. Hello, from the Cinema Effect podcast, and today we are reacting to episode 2 of The Bad Batch. Just dropped. Very excited to check it out. Now, last time by the way, just if you don't want to hear me ramble at the start, use the timestamps, skip away. I don't want to hear any complaints, alright? So, last time I commented that there was a lot to break down in the episode, and there certainly was. Part of me wants to take notes. Obviously, that would sort of defeat the purpose of a reaction, so I thought there's a bit of a compromise. I'll take notes between the last episode and the next one so we can talk about stuff at the start of the video. I guess that's an okay idea. But, so we'll do that. I've got a Star Wars lore check section for you people out there if you're interested in some stuff coming out of last episode. So, I was talking to a lot of people this week that I was really happy about. The Bad Batch seemed to be quite popular. I was chatting to a lot of people about it this week. And thank you for checking out the video, by the way. I appreciate the support. A lot of people commenting about how they didn't realise that Caleb was Kanan, and Kanan was even a character we were meant to know at the start of the show. Yes, Kanan, main character from Star Wars Rebels, was a Padawan at the start of the Bad Batch. If you were confused by that, if you were confused by the fact that Kanan was being called Caleb, just so you know, it's touched on briefly in Rebels, some comic book stuff as well, but Kanan's original name was Caleb Doom. He changed his name to Kanan Jarrus after the events of what we witnessed, Order 66, so just letting you know, a bit of a Star Wars fact check there. What else did I have here? Last time we ended the episode on a really interesting note of the Bad Batch are going somewhere to some planet to visit some friend. Right, they said they're going to J19 were their words. That did not ring a bell in the reaction whatsoever to me. There are some things. J19 bow rifle is the weapon Zeb uses from Rebels. So could it be Zeb? I don't know. But the main thing, shout out to Lockie, he did some great detective work. We had a great chat. And absolutely the thing that J19 is that refers to the planet Seleucami from one Clone Wars episode. This is how cool and obscure we're getting here. And Seleucami has a very specific reference to a clone character we met there in that episode. A really interesting clone character who has significance to Rex. So, I don't want to say too much because I think that's literally what's about to happen. I think Lockie nailed it. I think we're going to Seleucami in this episode right now. So, I mean, it's cool. Well, let's wait and see. I'm just going to dive into the episode now. I don't want to talk about this shit for much longer. I just want to watch it, so let's do it. I shat on this last time, but I will say, I appreciate they go to the effort to change it depending on what we're watching. They had, like, Sabine and Grievous and animated characters in there, so it's something, I guess.
We are coming up on Seleucami.
There you go. Good detective work. Love it. This is crazy. We're about to see a clone character that was in one episode over a decade ago. That is how obscure with the characters they are going in this show, and I love it. And Cut was always a memorable clone as well. I always liked him.
What do we have here? More clones who have lost their way.
It's been a while, fellas.
This is crazy, dude.
Sounds familiar. Rex told us about the clone troopers turning against the Jedi.
You talked to Rex? When?
Ali passed through yesterday.
Where'd he go? How else did you think it worked?
Mom! Dad! There's a ship outside!
Jack! Remember
These goddamn annoying kids are still around.
we are.
Not exactly.
What do you mean?
The Kaminoans don't create without a purpose. You all have one, so what's hers?
It doesn't matter. She's just a kid.
It's a good question.
Battling droid.
She went out past the fence!
I personally would not appreciate that thing from Attack of the Clones, like living 2 meters away from my property.
Hey, kid. You alright?
Why's Wrecker wearing those clothes? Put him in a spaghetti western.
It's what she needs.
It's ironic.
Hunter's about to have a
One of the
Mando
names instead
Grogu
of
relationship
names.
with Omega right here.
Now people are saying. Found him. Excellent.
It's cool to see Echo being useful because so far he's been the one that feels sort of left out and hasn't had a lot to do, so that's how I felt anyway. Oh my god.
Stick to the plan, Cut.
Those clones are like, bro, why does that guy look like me and Rambo mixed together?
Is there a problem?
You have my voice. That's great.
I guess I've got a lot to learn too. If this is where you want to be, then this is where you'll stay.
That's sweet. Alright, cool. I mean, I guess now we're at the point where we had the huge premiere. And I enjoyed that episode. That was a fun episode, but these these reactions are definitely going to become a bit more bite-sized and truncated, I imagine, but still a ton of fun, I hope. I don't know. That was a fun episode. Really cool to go to Seleucumai again. Really cool to see Kat and his obnoxious kids, who last time they triggered all the battle droids, didn't they, I think? Cool to see them again, I guess. I like the character building they're doing with Omega and Hunter. And I think it's clear that Hunter is sort of going to... he's the leader of the Bad Batch. He's the... People have been making... I love these comparisons, the Bad Batch, comparing them to the Ninja Turtles, which is I think is really valid. Leo, comparable, of course, to Hunter. He's going to get a bit more shine, a bit more focus, I'd imagine, throughout the series. So that makes a ton of sense. And I don't know, I like the sort of father-daughter thing they're going for here. You know, it's definitely familiar to Star Wars, but... I don't know. I'm here for it. In terms of Omega, though, the other substantial thing that I didn't even pick up on at all in the last episode, and I probably should have thought about it. Again, I've forgotten to take my headphones off like a moron. The other thing I didn't even mention last time, and I totally should have, is the possibility of her being Force sensitive, and that's the fact, what the hell is her mutation, right? I sort of in the moment, I was talking to a lot of people about this week and it was a lot of fun, but what is her mutation? Why is she in the Bad Batch? And my brain just watching the episode was sort of last week just like, it wasn't last week, last episode was sort of just like, I don't know, I guess the fact she's a girl is the mutation, but that isn't really interesting, I guess, from an action storytelling perspective. But I think they're continuing now in this episode here with that line that they gave about, Cut gave about, they don't just make clones for no reason, that she was made with a purpose on the part of the Kaminoans. So, hey, I think there's some strong hints there that they're experimenting, probably due to Palpatine's request, which I guess could end up tying into the whole Mandalorian, Snoke, Rise of Skywalker stuff if they want to go that far with it. That might be a bit tinfoil hatty, but I don't know, that could be something they do. Regardless though, Palpatine, of course, wanting to experiment with cloning and experiment with those good old midichlorians and creating life and cloning Force users. So Omega sort of being that is interesting. We haven't got any direct hint from her yet. We haven't seen her really, reach out to the Force or anything like that obvious yet, or that clear yet. But the conversation she had with Crosshair last week last episode in the jail cell, where she sort of seemed to connect with him and empathise with him in sort of a telekinetic way. I sort of read it after the fact that she tells him that, I know what you're going through, I know you can't help it. In the moment, I sort of interpret it as, because she's hanging out with Nama Su and the Kaminoan higher-ups, that she's aware of the control chips, and thus that's why she's resonating with him in that moment. But the other possibility is that she is sort of connecting to him, feeling him with the Force. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean? So hey, that possibility, can't believe I didn't think of it, totally valid. And I think, this episode, again, laying even more groundwork for that being what they go for in the future of this series for sure. And I think that could be really interesting. By the end of this series, will Omega be a Jedi? I don't know. Possibly. I mean, that could be cool, I guess. But maybe something... Then what? Are they going to do the whole Mandalorian Season 2 thing again? Where in Season 2, Hunter's like, we have to find a Jedi for Omega to train. And then, I don't know, have to get, Ahsoka to train her or something. That'd be weird. No. So, I don't know. But they could do something interesting with her having the Force. And there's some very interesting possibilities with this show. And with that character, I think. And again, I'm still into the character. This episode was definitely more what we can come to expect from the next 14 to go. Because at the end of the day, this is a Star Wars animated series. I love these shows. Not all of them are going to be absolute bangers like all the Rebels season finales. And like some Clone Wars arcs, and like the premiere of this show was. So, hey, I still enjoyed it. I still had a great time, And if each episode sort of is exploring a different planet, we get some old Clone Wars callbacks, and we start exploring characters a bit more. We start exploring the world a bit more. One thing I really liked about this episode was how going even more into what the transition, and this show's going to keep doing this throughout its entire run, I imagine, but going even more into the transition from the Republic to the Empire, this time sort of seeing it on the ground in just a regular old town on a regular planet, and what that looks like for the citizens, how they're changing the processes, and sort of having a bit of a surveillance state situation going on across the galaxy. I assume we'll end up getting an update on Crosshair's situation in the coming episodes. In terms of, I mentioned it in the reaction quickly, but with the actual core crew of the Bad Batch, I really like them. Rekka was actually pretty solid that episode. I enjoyed his outfit. I dig them. The one member of them currently, Tech, he's doing his thing. He's the Donatello. Makes a lot of sense with the tech stuff, obviously. But so far, Echo, in the premiere especially, has sort of been letting me down a little bit. Finally saw him today do something that he hasn't done, and something the other guys can't do, using his little, I don't know, robot arm. What do you call, I don't even know what you call the little stick thing that he uses to hack things. I don't even know what that's called. But using that to actually help the team, that's cool. But I felt in the premiere, I didn't mention it, he was sort of lacking. He was the one that didn't seem to have a clear identity, or archetype, I guess, amongst the other members of the Bad Batch. So hopefully they'll continue to develop him, which is interesting because I guess they're sort of just assuming the fact, because we all know Echo the most, because he was an original OG member of Domino Squad, that he sort of works for that just because. Last episode was, in my opinion, the best premiere of a Star Wars, I was going to say animated series, but probably series. Mandalorian's premiere was good too, but that we've seen, because Clone Wars' premiere episode is fine. Rebels' premiere episode is fine. And those shows, sort of, their worst seasons are their first seasons, I think. That's a fair thing to say. So the fact that the premiere was so great is really cool. Now we'll just get into the weekly flow of what the show's going to bring us. Some cool character connections. Still, some things, even though we got a lot of it out of the way in the premiere, some things from the trailer are still to come. Some characters. And it was really interesting to see, thank God I did not forget it, that Cut has been in contact with Rex, and apparently saw him yesterday, which is interesting. So, Rex is obviously imminent in this show. I would not be surprised if we get him sooner rather than later. It's cool to know that he's staying in contact with Cut after their interaction in Season 2 of the Clone Wars, and that he went to him as one of the first people he spoke to and reached out to after Order 66, so that's pretty cool. I would assume then, potentially, he's already separated from Ahsoka at this point. Either way, I think that hint is not very subtle. Rex will definitely be showing up sooner rather than later in this show, so I'm tremendously excited for when that happens as well. As I've alluded to, I had a great time talking about the Bad Batch with so many people this week. You know who you are. Thank you so much, and I appreciate anyone watching the video. Let's keep the conversation going. Let me know what you thought of the Bad Batch episode in the comments. Help the YouTube algorithm, and I just enjoy having a chat with you all. So, yeah, do that. That'll be fun. I'll see you all on Cinema Effect on Monday. Check it out. And I'll see you for The Bad Batch once again next week. Alright. Peace out.